I should be so lucky, 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 lucky. I should be so lucky in love.
Yes, excellent. Yes, very nice.
Okay, it's Kylie.
Yeah, thank you.
Extraordinary.
Kylie can see ghosts.
Seriously? Very nice. Is it everyone but me?
Hello and welcome to Haunting Button House, a BBC Ghost podcast. I am Luke and I am joined by Tash. How are you today, Tash?
All right, thanks, Luke. How are you?
I'm also okay today. So,
You sound tired.
it's been a long week.
It has.
Annoyingly, though, I've got nothing to actually say when we usually talk about what we've been up to. Nothing much. It's just been a busy week.
Yeah.
I don't think we've done anything of note.
No, unfortunately. Shelley's taking up a lot of our time, isn't she? 'Cause
Yeah.
those damn cat's teeth. For anyone that would like to know, Shelley only has one fang left, and no bottom. Did we tell you this last week?
I can't remember. Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you already know, then I'm sorry. But yeah, she's lost all her little teeth at the front, at the bottom. So it's been a sad day. And the vets took away her teeth, so the tooth fairy hasn't been able to come. So it's all...
Didn't you ask if you could get them back? And they said, I could get them out of the waste bin.
Clinical waste.
Clinical
I was like,
waste,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna...
Probably best not to. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
But that's been our week, basically.
Back and forth to the vets.
Pretty much. And we don't have any feedback because that's all...
Well, we do have feedback.
We do have
but
feedback.
We'll just do it all at the end. And we'll talk sort of series feedback and Christmas episode feedback all in one. We've got quite a bit, so that'll be good to go through.
We should probably get on with it then, I suppose.
Get on with it, because it isn't... You can't say get on with the episode, because it's not an episode.
True. I've got no segue here. So, as you mentioned, this isn't technically an episode. It is simply entitled Comic Relief Special. So you don't even get a fancy title or anything. It was directed by Simon Hind, so same director. But it didn't have a writer. It's not got any writing credits anywhere. So, no idea who actually wrote this segment, or if it was completely improvised.
I think the ghosts people.
Well, I would imagine so, yeah.
I just call them ghost people. I think they would have written it, surely. But then if there's no credits, strange.
Unless it was all of them, so they just didn't credit themselves, you know what I mean? Because it was them as a collective. I don't know. Unless I've completely missed this and I'm not crediting
Someone will know.
Yeah, let us know. But yeah, I couldn't find a credit anywhere, even on the BBC website, so... the original air date was the 17th of March 2023. So it's arguable whether this is on the 4th series or the 5th series, because it's in the same year as the 5th series. You know what I mean? So I don't know where, but it's smack bang in the middle.
Yeah, it's kind of like a standalone thing. I suppose, really, actually, we need to scrap the whole thing, because we should have done the book first and then this. If we're going to go in chronological order.
I mean, I don't think anyone's going to...
Right, cancel it.
Yeah,
We're not going to do
it. I'm sure we'll be fine with a comic relief special.
Well, but I do like to do things in order.
Okay, yeah, true.
Okay.
Would you watch... It's very different. Would you watch, like, Star Wars in order?
Well, I'd rather...
Never
watch my own funeral than watch Star Wars. Taking a quote from...
True.
From... who said that?
Fanny.
Did she say that? Well,
she did.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll get on to the actual episode. Now...
No, Mike said I'd rather watch my own funeral. And
Oh,
Fanny
yes,
said she did.
she did, yeah. You're right.
Sorry.
So you might notice a change in the audio at this point. It's weird that we're basically... It feels like I need to start from the beginning, but obviously we're not. We recorded the rest of this podcast last night, last night, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I went to go and press stop, I realised that the application had crashed and it recorded none of what we'd been speaking about. So
there was an episode, but you missed it.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. So we're just going to take it from the top, basically.
Start again.
Yeah.
Take two.
Take two. Anyway, so straight in with this episode then. So right off the top, I had this weird intro on mine. Like, so it had the normal Ghost sort of video, but the music was different. And I don't know why it was, because it was it was the Red Nose Day official channel, you know what I mean? So I don't understand why
you did have to check that it was you'd watched the correct episode.
Yeah, I was. Do you know when something feels
the
off?
vibe was off,
and you're just like, I'm just doubting what's going on here. So yeah, we had to check that we watched the same episode.
Well, we've watched the same episode.
We have, yeah.
So if it's the wrong one,
we've both watched the wrong one. Yeah. I'd be very surprised if there's two episodes with Kylie Minogue in. Sorry to spoil it there. Anyway, so we start at Button House and we see Alison is stressed about what she's wearing. She comes down and asks Mike, does this say that a professional businesswoman with a good working knowledge of the contemporary music scene? To which Mike says that's asking quite a lot.
I'd say her outfit nailed it, to be honest.
Pretty much, yeah. It's very
A very professional lady.
business cash.
Absolutely.
The ghosts are all watching on, and Fanny is upset that Button House, or Button House's grounds, will be hosting a music festival. She said that she would be turning in a grave, which she realises she is in a grave, so technically she could do this right now. Kitty and Pat, however, are very excited by this prospect. Pat says the last time he saw the album charts, it was U2, Elton John and ABBA. Pretty sure this was a joke about the state of the music at the time, because I did a bit of research, and the album charts in 2023, which when this came out, had both ABBA and Elton John.
But no U2.
No U2. Yeah, I couldn't find them. They to be fair, they probably gave everyone a free album or something.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know when that was.
Where are they now? I think Pat.
Yes, yeah. So still making hits. Well, maybe not ABBA, but still selling.
They are.
CDs.
They made new music
Did they make new
in
music?
2022.
Okay.
I think.
Maybe 23 if their album came out
Well,
then.
I don't know, because they brought out new songs.
Okay.
So I can only assume that they recorded new songs.
Strange. I always thought it was just them like selling the greatest hits again and stuff like, because I know that's like one of the biggest.
I'm sure they
selling albums,
definitely
isn't it?
brought out new songs. I'm sure.
Possibly, yeah. I'm not big of an ABBA fan to
And it upsets me greatly.
not that right. Okay, I don't dislike ABBA. I'm just not a huge fan, if you know what I mean.
There's no in between. You either
Okay.
love ABBA like I do, and my mum does, or you hate them.
Okay, right.
And I would argue the latter is grounds for divorce.
Bloody hell, that was got really intense, all wasn't it? Moving on. They say that Alison says they need to wait here as this is a meeting for people with a pulse, as all the ghosts echo back what she said, and Mike just says, did they say it? They open the door and they meet who I've written down is Tess Ross. She only says her name once in this entire episode. It's not credited at any point, so I had to rewind this about 3 or 4 times to try and write down her name to make sure it was correct. But I'm pretty sure it's Tess Ross.
Just going back, didn't you say that I know we spoke about this yesterday, but I don't know if it was in a bit that was recorded or a bit that wasn't recorded, or
Yeah.
but I know we spoke about it, that we don't know who wrote this episode.
Yes, yeah, we mentioned it yesterday on the last pizza recording, basically. That
We've already discussed this.
we have discussed it. We don't remember that we've discussed it, but yeah, we have discussed it.
Well, I remember that we discussed it, but
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was on a bit that was actually took from the recording.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah, no idea who actually wrote this part, yeah. But yes, Tess Ross is the agent of a big star who says she's here at the moment to actually check out the place, and she just wants to get on with it. And we find out that this big star is Kylie Minogue. Wow. Big, that is literally a song.
Oh, yeah. wow.
Alison and Mike are gobsmacked at this.
I mean, you would be. If we opened our front door and saw Kylie Minogue.
True. But if you were like sort of going to be hosting a music festival, do you think you might think, oh, I wonder if there's a big star that might come?
I'd probably just expect that it was a
local indie band.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. That was,
Say indie band, I don't think indie's a thing anymore.
No, but yeah. I'm trying to think someone local to where we are, but anyway.
Slade.
I was thinking Beverly Knight, actually.
Yeah, it's probably more likely, yeah. Alison and Mike are absolutely gobsmacked.
Starstruck, I think I wrote down.
Yes. Alison says that Kylie is absolute favourite, to which Kitty is upset about this. Mike cannot get his words out, which he's famous for doing. And Kitty's just completely jealous that they're so like fawning over Kylie. They all walk in, and the ghosts see that it's Kylie, but the only person who actually recognises her is Julian, and he says he can't believe it. So he says that she's huge, to which Robin, who is standing next to her, says she's really not. Oh, by the way, it's something I mentioned yesterday, but again, you're just trying to remember things that we said. I rewound this bit. Obviously, we find out later a bit more about Kylie and her abilities, but I tried to see if she reacts to any of the ghosts at any point, and I didn't notice her react to any. So I don't know if these bits were filmed and they just later then thought, oh, maybe we'll. Yeah,
I doubt it.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
I think they probably had an idea of what the whole thing. I mean, it's a 7-minute clip. They can't have like thought too much about the plot. But I think, arguably though, if she was so used to interacting with ghosts and seeing them, and no one else around her being able to see the ghosts also. I mean, I've just given a massive spoiler, to be honest.
I mean, it's just for this episode, so I won't worry about that.
It's kind of like she's probably used to having to act as though she can't see the ghosts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think she is an actress. So.
She is, yeah. Famously, she is an actress, yeah.
Famously, she is. Yep.
Thomas says that she's beautiful, and the captain says that she's fabulous. And they all look at him surprised, and he says that he finds himself drawn to her energy, which I think the captain and Kylie's sort of interactions are my favourite in this episode.
Definitely.
Kylie says that she wanted to spend some time looking at the space ready for this music festival, and Robin is really confused by her accent. I can't remember exactly what she says. She speak no good or something like that.
You put what wrong with her voice?
What wrong with her voice? Yeah, which Thomas says pot kettle black. Yeah. Fanny instantly knows the accent though, and she thinks she's Australian. They ask her what that means, and she says that they should hide the silverware. Because famously, as we know, all Australians are thieves. So
that's a bold statement there, Luke.
Yeah.
If someone just clipped that would be damning.
Slanderous. I don't actually believe that. Let's get that out there. I'll just move the mic a bit there because I'm not sure if it's catching you a bit there, but we'll move it. We've got to keep this one loose, I think, with the problems we're having. I don't want to stop and. Yeah.
Is it definitely still recording?
It's still recording. I've put it on the smallest view possible so I can see it move all the time.
You're still with us. You're still with us.
Yeah. Yes. So Pat is confused. He doesn't really recognise her, and obviously Julian thinks that this would be Pat's era, and he's just none the wiser. But because of this, Julian kind of thinks at this point, well, if he doesn't recognise her, then obviously it can't be her. And he sort of comments that Kylie would not look like this these days. She would have politely implying that she would have aged more, basically.
She does look good for her age.
She does look good for her age, yeah. I genuinely don't know how old Kylie is. I couldn't guess. I'd assume some, like, in her 50s, but like, I don't actually know.
I wouldn't like to say without live Googling.
But as they're saying this, and he thinks she's
56.
Wouldn't have guessed. She says that she starts asking if they have a bathroom. Alison tries to sort of lead her away from the ghosts, but she says she'll make her own way there, basically. And I don't think Alison wants to make too much of a fuss. And she looks a bit concerned as everyone walks away. And this is where she turns to the ghosts and finally reveals that she can actually hear them all. Fanny's face in this part is a picture. If you didn't notice it the first time, go back watch it. It's a full-on gurn. There's no other way to describe it. Kylie then explains how she can see them. Basically, she says, "Do you remember the roller skating montage in the Spinning Around music video?" She implies that she fell and hit her head at this point, and then since then she's been able to see ghosts. She says,
I think we looked up last night. I remember it was 95. Was it? No, it was 2000. 2000.
Yeah.
I was like, 95? That doesn't sound right. As it
way-
exited my mind. I was like,
that was way too early. Yeah.
2000. that came out.
2000. So she's been able to see ghosts
For
now.
23 years.
23 years, yeah.
Or
so.
24 now if we're living in the current time.
Yeah, she can still see ghosts soon. And she says, "I know it's hard to believe," which they all disagree with, obviously, as they live with this every day. So she goes around them all and basically starts addressing all of their comments. So she explains to Robin where Australia is. Says it's an island on the southern hemisphere, and he has no idea what those words mean, basically. Which is surprising because he's into his astronomy, so you'd think he'd know like a bit about. Anyway, maybe he's not interested in the Earth. He's more interested in other stuff. She explains to Fanny that her attitudes on Australian people are tired and outdated, which Fanny sort of explains, well, I am 168 years old, so I think she is a bit tired and
changing.
And she turns to the army man and she says she feels him and understands. And
she says, "I see you.
I see you, and I'm here for your people." To which he replies, "The forces." She then turns to Pat, calls him Bush Ranger.
Bush Ranger.
Yeah. It makes sense. And she says he doesn't recognise her because Neighbours started in 85, and this is where Pat sort of gets upset and realises, is there anything I didn't miss? But yeah, it's quite funny that the last thing he got upset about missing was Live Aid. So Live Aid and Neighbours are interesting things to be upset about, I guess. Thomas already butts in before she can even get her words out. Says that he can't marry Kylie because he's in love with Alison. And I think we mentioned before that in the previous recording, we need to stop. I need to stop bringing that up. That Thomas obviously knows about Kylie because of the music he used to listen to with Alison, and I think some of it was Kylie.
She kind of says, well, that one sorted itself out then.
Yes.
He says he can't marry her.
And Julian is just completely unimpressed by this. He says that this is all a scam. He would know what Kylie looks like because he owns 4 of her calendars.
See, I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
So sometimes people look different to what they look like on TV and on screen. So when you meet a celebrity in real life, you can almost be like, is it them? I'm not sure. Is that what they really look like? So it's kind of feasible that Julian might think, is this actually the real Kylie? What are the chances that the real Kylie Minogue
is here right
comes
now,
to Button House?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of, I think, feasible that he would go,
Is this
actually really her? And she does look great for her age. So.
And also, Julian is a very sceptical person.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't believe in ghosts, even though he is one. So you know what I mean. So he says that if she is the real Kylie, then prove it. So we go outside. This is a different scene, but outside Kitty is telling Alison that she's much better than Kylie Minogue.
I think there was about 36 or 38 reasons as to why.
Something like that, yeah.
I wonder what would have been on that list.
I think a fashion sense must be one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of one more.
Better friend.
Better friend. I mean, that's if she could befriend Kylie, maybe she would be a better friend.
Maybe.
Alison at this point makes some reason to go back into the house, presumably to tell the ghosts off or something like that. And when we go back into the house, we just see Jason Donovan on a phone screen.
Another cameo.
Another cameo. I'll be honest, this one completely caught me off guard. I knew Kylie was in it, but I didn't expect Jason Donovan to also be in it.
They come as a pair.
They do. Not as often these days as you'd think.
They've moved on.
Yes, yeah. And he says, I don't really get why. Obviously, he can't see anything. It's just Kylie in an empty room to him. But he says, okay, and he says, this is the real Kylie Minogue. Julian, not convinced still. He doesn't even believe that's the real Jason Donovan, that he would not look like this anymore. So, he's very sceptical of these celebrities and their ability to fight back age, I guess. This is where Alison walks in. And Kylie sort of gets caught talking to the ghosts, and she immediately starts to make excuses as to what she's doing. Alison also starts to make excuses as to why she's coming into this room. And they both realise that they're making excuses for talking to the ghosts or seeing the ghosts. And they realise why that is, and it's because obviously they know that they both can see ghosts. They're both excited by this, that there's actually another person that can see ghosts. And Julian, again, reiterates, he says, this is not the real Kylie. Like, I don't know why you're getting so excited about all this. And they have a bit of an idea. We go back outside and we see Mike is talking to Tess, explaining he doesn't even know what an acre is. Which,
I ain't got a clue either.
Got a clue, yeah. Imperial measurements, I don't know. Inches is about all I can do. That's it. When it gets to yards, I'm like, not a clue. And Mike says that he's going to go back inside to find Alison. And when he goes in, he sees Alison is playing the piano, Kylie is singing. They're doing a rendition of Lucky in Love. Is that the actual?
I think it's called I Should Be So Lucky.
I Should Be So Lucky, yeah.
Come on, Luke. How embarrassing.
And I'm a card-carrying member of the Kylie fan club. The ghosts all clap at this rendition, and Julian says, actually, you are the real Kylie. And Alison explains to Mike that Kylie Minogue can also see the ghosts, and Mike gets upset, gets angry. Well, not angry, but he's like, can everyone see ghosts but me? The agent also follows Mike in and realises what's going on and expresses her frustration that, she's sick of always coming in and she's talking to people and only hearing half of the conversation. And this is where Mike realises that they also have the shared experience of having the other side of this. And they sort of bond over this. Mike says that they need to hang out. And then we see Kylie and Tess saying their goodbyes. They say they'll be in touch, and as they leave, Kylie says that she's probably going to leave booking this place, and maybe they'll go and continue with their booking at the castle that they'd seen previously. Her agent says, but isn't that the one with the axe-wielding executioner ghost? And she says, yeah, but there is only one of them, so she can deal with one axe-wielding ghost rather than a gaggle of talkative ones. And that's the end of the episode, really. It's not too long. It's only like
7 or 8 minutes long.
And
still good though. I think actually watching it, I think, or thinking about it now, I think it's obvious that it has to have been written by someone who writes ghosts.
Yes,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just like a little fun, like little aside episode, really. So just a bit of extra ghost stuff, really. Really, I keep saying really a lot. With some stars involved. I say some stars. Kylie. Oh, and Jason Donovan, I suppose.
Yeah.
Only a few jokes, really, but I mean, it's 7
I think we still got like an idea of, we sort of still got a flavour of each of the characters. Like Kitty's jealousy, Thomas's like love of any woman that he interacts with. Sort of like we learned about Pat's year that he died, and Robin not knowing where Australia is, Fanny's, I don't know.
Yeah, if you'd never watched Ghosts, you could kind of pick up on kind of what it is.
And I guess though, really, I mean, obviously a lot of listeners not from the UK might not know what comic relief is.
I think America has like a comic
similar.
relief. Yeah,
but I think that's the point of comic relief, is that a lot of TV shows do these like bite-size pieces of a show. Do you know what I mean? Like I know loads of, well, you know, lots of shows have done like, is it a skit, I guess, for like comic relief, where you just kind of get a flavour of it. And I guess in a way, yes, they're doing it to like people tune in if they really like ghosts, but also someone might just have it on in the background and watch that comic relief special and go, oh, that looks quite good, that looks a bit of me, a bit of what I'm interested in, comedy or history, and then go and watch it. So I think that's what comic relief is good for, really.
And the charity.
No, but I think in terms of just, if you just think of
as
something
content,
to watch, like as content, not obviously it does great work, and we could go into the ins and outs of like the charity, but I think in terms of like watching and what it would do for a TV show, is really interesting. So. So we didn't do the feedback like for last episode at the start of the episode, because I thought I might as well just put it all in together, because most people have sent like one piece of feedback. So Alison says, my favourite episode of all, so talking about the Christmas episode, definitely a 10. I was even laughing out loud, then tearing up listening to your podcast, which was awkward as I was on the bus. Had to keep looking out the window and hoping no one noticed. We've all been there. Pantomimes weren't...
Usually it's like with sad music.
Yeah,
like,
pretending like you're in a music video.
Have a bad day.
Pantomimes weren't really a big thing growing up in Australia, but we went to see Dick Whittington when I worked in England in the 90s with Bill Oddie and Sarah the cook.
Bill Oddie, what a name.
It was fun, with capital F-U-N. Even though we were the only adults in the audience not accompanied by a responsible child. I love the moments with Pat. Jim Howick really got to show off his acting chops. And the scenes with the captain and Kitty, he was really starting to find himself behind the gruff military posturing. And Robin, as always, was the wisest of the gang. With a face like a horse's bum. I think Julian should really have known that Alison wouldn't have given Pat a bluey. Just wishful thinking. Yeah, definitely. Having the play ghosts as the audience was brilliant, and apparently the actors had fun doing it. They said a lot was ad-libbed. So that's interesting. And in an interview, they were all chuffed to find an authentic 80s video recorder to film Pat's Christmas memories. Oh, that's really good. I like it when things are like authentic like that.
I didn't even pick up on that, but yeah, you can definitely tell by watching. I think, funnily enough, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were having this discussion of like, you can get filters now to make stuff look like it was on a VHS, but it just doesn't look as authentic as actually like doing it on old technology. Yeah. So yeah, that's good detail.
Alison said so much to love, and I think we all saw the comic relief special on YouTube. It's been up there for a while. I laughed at Fanny's reaction to Australians. Yeah, so sorry, Alison, for Luke's earlier comment.
I'm just joking. I feel like that the Australian, not just English, but like British sort of connection is usually quite. I don't really like the word, but bantery. You know what I mean? Like it's like. Yeah, I think there's a bit of playfulness that I think only like British and Australian people understand that, like, why it's like that. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah.
Yeah. So Docking Docs says, in Australia, I knew the game Mike and Alison played as Celebrity Head.
Oh yeah.
Those sort of, and then they also said those sort of mixed up phrases are called eggcorns. Eggcorns.
I always thought they were called like spoonerisms, but I don't know. Like
maybe it's a different term.
I've
I think
not heard that
Docking Docs
before.
is Australian.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna Google that.
Yeah. If they still make, so they're called eggcorns if they still make a similar sense, such as Alzheimer's disease becoming old-timers disease.
Oh, okay.
One I always remember from Friends is Joey calling a moot point a moo point.
I see. Yeah, they're like, I'm thinking of a different thing.
Yeah.
Spoonerism. Yeah. I know what you're
Explaining
talking about.
it's like a cow's opinion.
Yeah.
I think there's one like that in Gavin and Stacey, actually, where she says, Pam says, ours is not to reason while.
Yeah.
And then Mick's like, that's completely wrong. She says, ours is not to reason whilst they're doing it. And he's like, make no sense, but also loads of sense.
Yeah. Eggcorn comes from, it's an acorn. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
an
why I said
acorn,
eggcorn. I was like, what does that mean? Like, that word is like... Anyway.
Okay, yeah, I see what you
Yeah, it's explaining it's a cow's opinion, it doesn't matter. Robin's wisdom has been a theme throughout the show. In the first episode, he suggests the Cap and Fanny switch rooms to stop the screaming and jumping. That's very true. And of course, he always thrashes Julian at chess, even though he only learnt it from Julian.
Yeah.
Has weird names for the pieces and goes duka duka when moving pieces. Regarding bodily functions, next season, when Kitty thinks she's pregnant, we see Robin counting something on his fingers and then proclaiming ghosts can't get pregnant. I completely forgot about that.
Yes, yeah. He does mention that, yeah.
I completely forgot. I think I'm not going to... I remembered something after, but someone else mentions it in a comment, so I'm not going to say it because someone else mentions it.
Don't know why. Talking about him moving chess pieces around and saying duka duka reminds me of, like, there's some people that, like, when they play, like, D&D or Warhammer or stuff like that, they make, like, noises for stuff. It's like
Okay, so Caroline, return of Caroline's History Corner. It's been a few weeks since we've had Caroline's History Corner. I've missed it, so I'm glad it's back. Bear clarification. Wild bears were not around in the British Isles in the 1500s, but there were bears in zoos and travelling shows at that time. Sadly, bear baiting, where bears were set upon by groups of dogs, was seen as an appropriate form of entertainment. People will bet on anything. I think I remember when we went to a local zoo, they had where they used to have bears in the zoo.
They had a polar bear in the zoo.
That was it, yeah. And I just remember thinking, like, how... Obviously, I have a very mixed opinion, a difficult relationship with zoos. Because I see the good and then I see the not good. And it's very difficult, but I do appreciate them because they do a lot of good. But I remember just thinking how bizarre that would be to... see a bear
in the zoo, yeah.
But then what is the difference seeing a lion? Like, it's just because we just I don't think I've ever seen a bear in real life.
Well, I always think with zoos that it's like, it's sad that we need them, but if we didn't have them, it would be...
I think Shelley's seen a ghost.
That was an interesting reaction.
I've never seen you climb the wall before, Shelley.
Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, it's sad that we need zoos, but I think we do need them just because people are terrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, Caroline said the Puritans banned the practice in the 1640s, but from the point of view that it was too much fun. Think of the menfolk in Annie the Ghost's time rather than any thought for the bear's well-being. It was finally outlawed permanently in 1835, although it wasn't a popular sport by then anyway. To briefly address the bodily functions discussion, remember we see Kitty being sick. That's what I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And then I remembered it after we'd recorded the episode. So I'm glad that you mentioned it, Caroline. She's sick with excitement at some point. All the ghosts are surprised by this, but it's another example of bodily functions that shouldn't really happen, but clearly do in some way. Caroline said Dandini is Prince Charming's friend in the pantomime world. We named a cat after him when I was a child, as we'd just seen Cinderella in the theatre, so I remember that one. In Caroline, the dame is usually the stepmother and the ugly sisters often played by men. Of course, Prince Charming would usually be played by a woman just to complete the subversion. I always thought the dame was like a goodie, like she's more of a comedy character, so I wasn't sure she'd be the stepmother. I guess it depends on the type of the story that's being told at the time.
And I think they can, because they're kind of like, I don't know, the only word I can think of is kind of bitchy, you know what I mean? Like, not really, like that sounds more like it's aggressive, but it's not, it's like kind of like playfulness, like I guess they could easily be both, you know what I mean? Like, because it's the same kind of vibe with them.
Caroline said Luke is correct. This doesn't happen often. Joking. The British traditional pantomime grew out of the Italian commedia dell'arte. And there are lots of crossovers in style. The modern tradition started in the 1700s with the stars of the popular music hall joining in the mid-1800s. Literally,
the only reason I knew that was because there was an episode of Inside Number 9 that was comedy dell'arte, and I was like, what the hell is that? And Wikipedia.
Caroline said, I really love this episode because it gives us lots of little character moments for each of our main cast, as well as being a happy Christmas story overall. I particularly love the captain's little wand sound effects. I don't usually score, but this one is absolutely a 10. I wonder how much the relatively low IMDb rating is influenced by non-UK based viewers who are not familiar with the British pantomime. Very interesting. Never considered that. Yeah. If you know, it's all there to relish, but if you don't recognise all the little set pieces, it may come across as just silly. I mean, it is silly, but it's all there for a reason, and we culturally recognise the little bits, even if, like Mike, we don't enjoy a pantomime ourselves.
Do you know what? I was just about to say that, though. I think a lot of people are like Mike, and myself included. I was like, pantomimes, they're just silly. Like, why would anybody like pantomimes?
So wrong.
I mean, it's stupid of me to think that. I like wrestling, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like if you enjoy something like that, you're going to enjoy something like that's just pure fun, like a pantomime, you know what I mean? So, yeah, give it a try. Give a pantomime a try. That's all I'll say.
This Christmas.
Yeah.
Give one a try.
Give it a try.
Series feedback from Caroline. I can't order the episodes as this series is so strong overall. I think the Christmas special smashes it out of the park for a top spot, but the others are all stonkingly good. I think this is the best series of the whole show. There are still some great bits to come, but I think they peaked here. My favourite character is Robin because he's so intriguing. His outlook on life is both simple and also based on centuries of soaking up new knowledge. On the one hand, his actual life experiences were very limited, but on the other, he is fascinated by what he learns by watching and listening to everyone that he comes across. Also, Larry Rickard's characterisation of him and his delivery of some of the funniest lines in the whole show is so brilliant.
Did they shorten his name to Larry? It's Lawrence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I never knew Larry was a short. Oh. You live and learn.
I'm sorry, that's what you take away from Caroline. I think what Caroline said is pretty bang on. On Robin, like he is just such a great character, and I think Lawrence's portrayal of him is just spot on, isn't it? He just, yeah.
It's great because like I always remember him from Horrible Histories as well as always these type of characters, and like obviously with Horrible Histories it's a bit more one note because it's Horrible Histories, you know what I mean? But like he takes that sort of classic caveman sort of character, and then thinks about what that would be like in the real world. Somebody who's lived an absolute unimaginable amount of time, they're going to be incredibly wise. They're going to have a lot of knowledge and life lessons to sort of impart from just seeing how other people's lives have unfolded. You like literally look at how he died, like in his sort of flashback, and what his life was like then, and think of all the different styles of lives that he's seen since then, like, and even just the ones we know from like a nobleman, a poet, you know, all these different lives anyway they've been through. But yeah, anyway, sorry to belabor the point.
I think going back to talking about Lawrence as an actor, is like we can literally see how good he is by just looking at Robin and Humphrey, because he obviously plays the same character. He obviously plays the two different characters, and they couldn't be more different.
Yeah, 100%,
they could not be more different, and I think that just shows how good he is.
It's that like they both have silly jokes in them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it takes somebody with like wit and like actual ability to like make a silly joke good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
So like they both have that like level of comedy, but very very different.
So Marianne says, as a viewer in the US, I can say I'm not familiar at all with pantomime. I agree with Caroline. The lower IMDb rating may be because viewers are not familiar with this art form. I, having no clue, can only offer that this has in no way affected my rating. What a great episode. The ghost's complex and charming interactions really make this episode shine. Robin and Pat, the captain and Kitty, just brilliant. Left wondering still with ghost bodily functions. With ghost body functions. In our US ghosts, the ghosts definitely have sex.
Okay.
A lot of sex. And wasn't expecting that word. And masturbation using a washing line is explored in a way that makes you pretty certain that it is fulfilling.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, without the context, that leaves a lot open to the
Anyhow, now I'm wondering, do they go to the bathroom?
The way you reacted to that was very funny. Like it was like.
I think it's because I didn't read this in advance, and I was like, "A what? A what word? Can I say that on the podcast?" Yeah. Marianne said, anyhow, now I'm wondering, do they go to the bathroom to relieve themselves? And if it's just nothing, why would you bother and not just go where you stand? I have so many functional questions. And which Spice Girl would you be? I would be Morose Spice?
Morose. Okay.
What's that?
Like, morose is like... I have a vague idea of what it is, but I don't want to say it to like make it be insulting, you know what I mean?
Okay. It's not a word. I mean, I'm terrible.
Is it
M-O-R-S-E?
M-O-R...
Sullen and ill-tempered.
That's what I kind of thought it was.
I can't imagine that of Marianne.
No.
Ill-tempered? No. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm a bit of that too. So yeah, Marianne said, series feedback, definitely the strongest season. They found their footing and are obviously so comfortable with each other. While I love each of the characters for different reasons, the captain is still my favourite. But they are all endearing in their own ways. If I had to be in a house with ghosts, I can't think of a better, more amusing group of spirits to live with.
One of the points that Marianne brought up on that was that she's not seen a pantomime, so can't relate to it. Mm-hmm. It's a shame as well, because usually with anything like this, we could say, "Oh, watch this YouTube video." You can't do that with a pantomime. It
You
really is a
can't.
live, like, art form. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The only... You can watch... So, obviously, overseas listeners aren't going to be able to do this, but on BBC iPlayer, you can watch pantomimes.
Oh, really?
I'm sure, but only at Christmas.
Yeah.
And also they have things like The Play That Goes Wrong, and they tend to be kind of pantomime stories.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I find The Play That Goes Wrong really funny. I know it's not really your kind of
Do
comedy.
you know what though? I think it's the same thing. I weren't too keen on it on TV. I wonder if live it's very different.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine it's fun when it's live.
I watched Peter Pan, the play that goes wrong, version of Peter Pan, and that was really good. Like, I thought it made me laugh, and that's all you can ask for really if you're watching a comedy. So
Maybe I need to give it another go because this was pre-panto.
Yeah, pre-panto.
Pre-panto,
Yeah.
so
So
maybe that's good.
those are quite good. They're not pantomimes by any stretch because they've not got a dame, but they're kind of that, like, I don't know, they kind of have that feel a little bit, but you just can't beat a pantomime, and you can't beat a pantomime at Christmas.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's kind of like pantomimes, like kind of like going to a drag show that's also a theatrical production that's like it mixes so many things together. It's just very, very, it's hard to describe without just going to one. Yeah.
If you get the opportunity.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure...
Don't go to England to see a pantomime. I think you might be disappointed.
Come to the Midlands and we'll all go to a pantomime.
Yeah. But if you are in well, I say England, anywhere in Great Britain, Great Britain. Sounds very Brexit, doesn't it? The United Kingdom. If you're in the United Kingdom around the Christmas period, and even in January, because they
Yeah,
do
they
run
do
over
go
it,
in January.
go and see one.
Go and see one. Abby says, US viewer here too, and I had no idea what a pantomime was in this context. So, it's so fun. We have skit shows here like Saturday Night Live, but it's not anything like this version of Cinderella. The captain as fairy godmother warms my heart, and during my first watch through, cemented this as my newest comfort show. The scene with Pat watching his family Christmas after he died makes me tear up every time. I lost my dad when I was little. This scene where Pat gets to see his grandchild makes me ugly cry. And this scene gives me a sense of peace for Pat. So yeah, it is really touching, isn't it? It's lovely, like, bits that we see with Pat. Series feedback. The best, most dynamic of the 4 we've seen so far. It's really interesting to me how the writers can show the character development of ghosts who are, in some cases, hundreds and hundreds of years old. You'd think they'd be stuck in their personalities the way they were when they died. Yeah, so I think it comes back to that, something that we've discussed before, of like the family thing, and like how them speaking to Alison or being able to interact with a living person has just enriched their like lives in so many ways, even by interacting with her, but then also just her being able to put stuff on the telly for them. Like it's brought them to like
into the modern world. Yeah. Because before this, literally, they couldn't interact with anybody. Like they had no choice over what was going on in this world of theirs. Like they didn't have a TV. You know what I mean? So they could probably see the front cover of like newspapers if they were left lying around. You know what I mean? That's probably all they got. Yeah,
it's so interesting how they like develop as people even though they're dead.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Alison said a couple more for Tash's collection, so I need to add these to my list. It's a doggy dog world. I could care less, and I'm gonna say how I think this is. My personal favourite, casting nasturtiums.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
casting aspersions.
Yeah. The one I could care less. There's a really good, if you go on YouTube, do you know David Mitchell? saying to you, do you know David Mitchell?
I do know David
Mitchell. To anyone out there, David Mitchell, who did Peep Show and Mitchell and Webb Look, he did something called, I think it was Soapbox, I think, and he would like literally like rant about things that were done on him in a David Mitchell way, and he does a thing where he's sat on a graph saying, I couldn't care less. He says, I could care more, but I literally couldn't care less. And he's saying, and like basically taking the mick out of people who say, you know, if you say I could care less, it means, well, you're not at zero, you could care less. And it's like, yeah, it's that pedantry, like, that David Mitchell is brilliant at. So, yeah.
So that concludes our feedback.
Okay.
So I suppose now the only thing I can do is ask you what your favourite episode of the series, favourite character of the series, and your overall series feedback.
So, my favourite episode, I mean, no surprises from me. It is the Christmas special. It's Behind You. Genuinely think it's the best episode and the most the most complete, perfect episode of Ghosts there is, to me anyway. It has all the like wacky, zany stuff that's happening in the pantomime and all of that stuff. It has the story between Alison and Mike and everything. I'm kind of just going over what I said in the last episode, but I'll just quickly go through it. And then you get the really heartfelt story of Pat and his family and whatnot. So I really don't think you can top that for me. And knowing the episodes that come next, for me, this is top of the pile. So yeah, my favourite episode. How about you?
I think my favourite episode has to be Gone.
Yeah.
I think this Christmas episode is really good.
Yeah.
And it's so close. It's literally skin your teeth stuff. Like it's just so close. But I think that Gone is so well written, and so the themes and just everything about it is just perfect. And I think, I guess, just that, like what we've discussed, like obviously before, like the themes of grief and how well they have this, like the kids' party against like the sorrow of like losing Mary. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to explore that. And I think obviously it would have been great if Katie Wicks could have stayed in Ghosts and we'd have kept Mary for longer. But I'm so glad that she did leave, because we got that episode. Yeah. And I think knowing that like there was a possibility that we would never lose one of the ghosts. Well, as I said, that, you know, that would have been great, because we'd have kept Mary and no one would have left, and it would have been this like complete pure thing. Yeah. But it sounds awful. I know it sounds awful to say, but I am really glad that she left, because I think it gave us this episode, and I just think it kind of took the whole series, like, as when I say series, I don't just mean series 4, I mean Ghosts as a whole to just another level. So for me, that just sort of takes that edge, but just so slightly. Slightly.
It is literally, if the Christmas special didn't exist, it would be gone. Like, and to be honest, like, there's so many other episodes in this.
It's
this series
just such a great series.
Like, if you picked any of them, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that. I mean, there's one that I wasn't super keen on, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But all of them are great episodes in this series. What was I going to say about Katie Wicks leaving? It sounded like, from listening from the sort of discussions that they had around it, it was something they didn't want, and they literally made the best of a bad situation. So if you can't take something that's really happening and use it to make really good art, you know what I mean? Like, I know it seems like a bit bombastic to say, oh, it's art, but you know what I mean? It is a piece of art, you know what I mean? Like, you're creating, so... but yeah, you're using it to fuel this, and they literally did the best with it. So great.
So just before we go, favourite character.
toss-up for me, this series.
So hard. So difficult. Like, I don't know how... obviously we had the feedback from other people. I don't know how they picked because it's so hard.
I think I'm going to give honourable mention, and I won't go too much into it because I don't know who you've picked. Honourable mention will be Pat, because even though we get Pat being his lovable, sort of Yorkshire self, you do get some real, genuine heart from him in the Christmas episode, and it's probably the most emotionally affecting story that the Ghost does. So I think I have to give some credit to that. But I think overall my favourite character, and I think I've picked him before in the series as well. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I'm really bad with this. I think Robin, just because it's, again, like we were saying, the way Lawrence plays it, where you get this, what on the sort of face of it is this simplistic character, but kind of like subverting what the audience thinks of this character is he is incredibly deep. Like, emotionally, he can read people better than all of the other ghosts can, and he has this breadth of knowledge that none of the others can even tap into. It's just a really, really well thought out character, and I do think he's probably my favourite of the series. How about you?
It's hard because I think I'm the same. But whilst you were saying about Robin, I was like, oh God, Robin was mine, and I can't really pick the same one. I mean, I absolutely can. Like, no one's going to come and arrest me for picking the same one. But like, I was like, okay, maybe I could, like, who else? But each of the characters have I don't know, each of them have such great qualities that it's important. Even Julian, like,
Julian,
I feel like when people talk about their favourite characters and like things that I've read, like on groups and whatever, I think Julian and Fanny never come up as people's favourites. I think and it's such a shame, because I think they're great characters, but they just then they don't seem to be this sounds awful, but they don't seem to be anyone's favourite.
Do you know where it is though? And I think it's the trouble with being the sort of more abrasive personalities. Is just naturally people like it's kind of like in a soap opera, like, you know what I mean, like where the villains, everyone like hates them if they see them in the street and stuff like that. It's just a person playing a character.
I mean, there's nothing to hate about either of them.
Not like that, but you know what I mean.
And that neither of them are horrible people either. And then they're portrayed so well by the actors. It's just I just wanted to note that like it's please, if someone's favourite character is Julian or Fanny, tell us.
I think earlier on I did pick Julian as my favourite, just because it's how much you flip on him. He's this like absolutely despicable politician, and then I think it was in the Christmas special where he's like lamenting over how he missed all of these times with his kid, and it's just really, really good sort of like flip of the character. But anyway, sorry, Carol.
No, it's just I was just to mention that, but each character has, as you said, honourable mention Pat, but also I really like how we're seeing this like sort of different side of the captain. I feel like he's sort of he was so I remember very early on you kind of said how cold he was, and I can't remember who said it. I have a feeling it was Alison who sends us feedback. Mentioned something about he thaws out, and I was like, that's such a great way to describe him, because he does kind of like thaw out, and we see a much warmer side to him, especially with Kitty, and especially in obviously with the Christmas episode. Like he does sort of like become this real father figure, which I really like, because I think he is a very warm person. But the military has I
think it's the military and what he's actually hiding
Yeah,
from them is
definitely.
like made him colder.
Because he's keeping his feelings inside.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think the next series we obviously explore like the captain a little bit more, and that's obviously, you know, good as well to see that. So it's just so hard to pick one character because there's features, elements, some bits of all of the characters that I really like, and they just make the show what it is. So yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
you know, it's so difficult because I feel like I'm just rambling now. I'm just repeating myself. But yeah, I think that's it. So I mean, overall series feedback.
Ultimately, who did you pick as your favourite?
Flip. I think Robin has that edge for the reasons that you said.
Yeah.
Just like such a complex being, and so interesting as well. I think he just has to take that for this series. But yeah, overall series feedback. I think we've been through it a lot. We're kind of
going around the issue, but basically, this is the best series.
Yeah, I think I need to be reminded of series 5 to fully be able to make that kind of call on what's my favourite series. But yeah.
Well, we'll find. We'll say for now 4 is our favourite.
Okay.
But we'll reserve the right to change our mind after the next episode, the next sort of series. So. Definitely.
So we've got a break.
Yes. Yeah.
Next week, and then the week after we're going to be back, and we haven't got a clue how we're going to do it, but we're somehow going to talk through the book, or maybe we'll pick parts of the book. We don't really know how it's going to work.
I'll be honest, I've not reviewed a book before on a podcast. I've never listened to a podcast reviewing a book either.
So the next episode might be not very good. But
actually, I have. They never do it chapter by chapter. They kind of just go, these are the things we like from it.
Yeah, well, I think that's what we decided to do, is that we're maybe going to pick a couple of aspects of the book that we really liked, and then maybe just have a chat like through that and like what we liked about the bits that each of us chose. But yeah, bear with us with the next one because we don't know how it's going to go.
This is uncharted territory.
Yeah. But then after that, then we're going to have another break. So we've got a break episode with the book, another week's break, and then we'll be... Oh, no, then... I did write it down.
We did, yes. I can literally...
Because we've got the live talk of the new book.
Yes, yeah.
Probably should have prepared for this slightly better. Yeah, so yeah, we've got the 5th of October is a break, 12th of October is the review of the book, 19th of October is a break, and then on the 26th of October, which is the day after the live stream comes out, we're going to put an episode out because we're going to watch that live stream, hopefully live. I haven't bought a ticket yet, but hopefully I still can. Live, that will probably be another short episode just to have a chat about that. But we'll remind you close to the time, but you might have to bear with us on that day because we probably won't have the episode out on the Saturday, bang on the normal time. So yeah, and then we'll be going straight into series 5. I can't believe it's nearly over.
I know.
With our very last episode. I say this
tentatively,
judging that we don't have any issues or with any of the episodes coming up, but tentatively our very last episode will be the 14th of December, which will be our series 5 Christmas special, the last ever episode of Ghosts. So thanks for listening. We love to hear what you think, and if you'd like to keep up to date with when new episodes of the podcast are released, you can follow us on our Instagram and our Facebook profile. Just search Haunting Button House. You can also get in touch via email at hauntingbuttonhouse@outlook.com.